Okay. So here we go. So welcome to the Craft Your Online Presence Masterclass, where we're going to talk about how to conquer 2018 with the ultimate content strategy. Now, when I say ultimate, I don't mean all the strategies, all the tools, all the platforms out there. What I mean is a content strategy that will work for you, that will work with you, that will work, that will play to your strengths. So I think for my definition, that is what is an ultimate content strategy, because I can give you all the tools and I can give you all the tactics, but if they don't work for you, then how does it matter, right? So that's why this ultimate strategy, it's all about you and what you want out of your content. So that's what we're going to talk about. But for those of you who probably don't know me a little bit, I just want to give a very, very quick introduction. So who am I? I am Swapna. I live in India, but I work with clients from all over the world. I'm a mom, I'm a wife to my high school sweetheart. We have been together for 20 years now. It seems like forever, and married for 10. And I'm super, super, super close to my family and all my extended family. So it's one of my core values, being really close to my family. And also, I am a science nerd who's equal amounts of woo woo. So I love my manifestation, I love my goddesses, and I also love science. And I think both can coexist in this world. I'm also a big Harry Potter fan, and I truly believe that Hermione was the real hero of the series, of the whole Harry Potter universe, and I absolutely love everything about her. I'm also a big fan of psychological thrillers. Um, Even though they keep me awake at 1 a.m., being scared about a serial killer just walking out of my closet. But I really, really love watching anything that is to do with crime, procedurals, or psychological thrillers, right? And obviously, since I live in India, I'm crazy about Bollywood, because music, dancing, melodrama, like what's not to love, right? About Bollywood. So I absolutely love it, and I also have a secret obsession with Disney, anything Disney, and I think I watch more Disney than my daughter. And I really feel that if people just watch Disney movies, the world would be a better place. So that those are things that I why am I telling you this is because I bring all of that into my content. And I think this is something a lot of people don't do. Like, they keep these parts of themselves hidden away. They don't bring that into the content, and they be this professional, this serious person who just talks about their topic. But I think when you bring all of this together, and for me, I feel when I watch movies, when I watch the latest TV shows, all of that adds to the creativity in my content. And I think if you are only looking at your profession for source of inspiration, it's going to dry up pretty soon. So you have to look at other places, interesting things. If you're struggling with content, the best thing is to close your laptop and go read a book which has nothing to do with your niche, or go and watch a TV movie or a TV show, and that will spark new ideas. Or just talk to people, right? Talk to people who have nothing to do with your line of business. Those are the things that actually spark new ideas when it comes to content. And so I would encourage you to also start including your personality into your content. And to give you the professional, background of me, I'm a science graduate. I'm an MBA in marketing. I was a corporate zombie who worked a mindless corporate job for many years. I'm also a certified business coach from International Coach Federation. But one of the things that actually really pushed me into this field, what I'm doing right now, was being a professional mommy blogger. I blogged for almost 4 years, and I had a very successful monetized blog, which had won many national awards as well. So that is where I actually started my internet marketing journey. Today, I'm a content strategist, and I'm also a freedom alchemist. I call myself a freedom alchemist because I believe that, I create that freedom, that breathing space in your business by giving you a content strategy that is aligned and that is easeful to you. So that is why I feel like I'm like this alchemist who makes these potions and creates freedom in your business. So that's me. But we are here to talk about content, right? So I want to ask you, what do you feel when you hear the word content? What's the first thing that comes into your mind? um, and you just think about what is the first feeling that comes into your mind when I say that go and create content. So for most of the people that I work with, these are the things that come up for them, right? It's overwhelming, it's hard. um, I don't know where to begin. Like, and a lot of people say that I have this blank page staring at me and I just don't know what to do with it. Some of them feel that it's too much effort for too little return. And a lot of people are inconsistent about content, and that really puts them off because they have been away for a while, they haven't blogged for a long time, or they haven't sent a newsletter to their community forever. And now they feel, how do I go back to that, right? How do I make an appearance into their inbox again? Some of them are not sure about their message. So what am I communicating through my content? If they're not sure about that, how are they going to talk about it? And a lot of people feel that they have zillion ideas running through their mind, but they just don't know how to put it all together, like how to make order out of that chaos. And some people feel that it's not their style, they don't know how to create content. What's their style going to be when they create content? And for a lot of people, the number one struggle is that who am I to talk about this topic? Like, this topic is so big, it is huge, it means so much. And who am I to talk about it, right? How can I say anything about it? Especially topics which are really emotional, like, money, or say emotional trauma or anything like that. People feel intimidated by that topic. And so these are the things that, push them back, hold them back, and they don't create content. Um, but then why even bother with content marketing, right? Why should we even think about content marketing at all? Um, so dictionary definition of content marketing is basically a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online materials such as videos, blogs, and social media posts that does not explicitly promote a brand, but it is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. And I know that is boring and that is bland definition, but that's what the dictionary definition is. It's basically you creating and sharing online stuff, and which does not explicitly sell anything, but it's basically stimulating interest in your services and your brand. But here is my definition when it comes to content marketing. I think it's the only kind of marketing that ensures that even on days that you're not making an income, you're making an impact, right? Because that's what content marketing does for you and your brand. So there might be days that you are not making sales every single day in your business, right? And you cannot go on making sales every single day. If that's all you do in your business, it's going to burn out pretty quickly. But content marketing helps you that even on days that you're not outrightly selling anything, you are making an impact. You're changing the lives of your audience in some way or the other. So that is why I think content marketing is so important, because it helps you to make an impact in the lives of your audience. um, here are a few more reasons, like why bother with content marketing, right? So the first reason is everything is content. Now a lot of people might say, like, content marketing is only blogging, but that's not true. Everything that you create in an online business, it's all content. So if you create a social media post, that's content. If you write an email to your list, that is content. if you are just writing an email to a friend, actually, even that is content, right? And as my friend Shalini Nandan, she's a lawyer for entrepreneurs. She says that even legal policies on your website, that is also content, right? Because it is all value, and you are giving value to your audience in some way. So every time you write anything, it's content. So what happens is, if you don't have a content strategy in place, you don't have a content marketing strategy in place, you are still creating content, but it is all accidental content, right? So there is no thought process to it. There is no intention behind it. There is no purpose behind it. So you're creating content anyway, but it's all going into a vacuum. The second reason is content is everywhere. Now, the best thing about content is that it is borderless, right? It can transcend boundaries, it can transcend borders, it can transcend languages, it can even transcend accents. So one of the things that I was really scared about when I started my business was that nobody's going to understand my accent, because I thought they will just not understand what I'm saying. But that's the power of content. When you lead with content, those things don't matter. Those just become invisible to people, because all they care about is the value that you bring to the table. So content is everywhere, so why not leverage on that? And finally, everyone loves content, and I don't just mean your clients. Of course they will love content, because they want value out of the transaction with you in any way. But I mean, Google loves content, right? So if you are thinking about doing SEO on your website, a lot of people say that's like the magic buzzword. Like, I want to do SEO on my website. But that will not happen if you don't have great content, because Google really loves content and quality content, right? And studies have shown that 54% people prefer original content, thoughtful content, than sponsored ads. So they will always prefer content that that is giving them value, rather than something that is explicitly selling something to them. And also, a lot of people now talk about Facebook ads. Like, I just want to run Facebook ads, and that's my strategy. But if you dig deeper, you will find that Facebook ads, which are content led, which basically are a big post, which is a big post of content, or is a video with which is again content. Those are the ads which tend to perform better than ads that are just selling something, or telling you to join a webinar, or join this particular course. So again, everyone loves content, so why wouldn't you bother with content marketing, becomes the question then. Now, you still might be thinking, do I need a content strategy? Yes, you do. And here is why it is your best bet in 2018. Actually, any time, but I think going forward, it is definitely your best bet. So the first reason is that your message deserves it, right? Now, if you are a service-based entrepreneur who wants to create a difference in the world, it doesn't matter how big your message is or how small your message is. Maybe your message changes the entire world, and maybe your message just changes the life of one person, or let alone life, maybe it changes the eating habits of one person. But that matters. Your message matters, right? And it deserves that you give it the attention with your content strategy, and make sure that your message is shining as a lighthouse to the people who need it. And your clients deserve it, right? So though, for all those people who really really need your help, and if you are shying away, if you're hiding away, you're not putting yourself out there with a content strategy, you are doing a disservice to them. You are actively holding back on the value that you could provide them. And I don't think that they deserve something like that. They actually deserve your help. And finally, your business deserves it, because a business model that is led by content, it will always be easier, it will always be more easeful, is rather the word that I should use, because you're not leading by selling, you're leading by value. So a business model that is led by content will always feel more aligned, it will feel more free, and it will feel more easeful. So your business deserves a content strategy. So let's talk about, what are the 4 essential pillars of an online presence. So how do you start building a content strategy, right? So the 4 essential pillars of online presence are social media, creating a freebie, having core content, and then email marketing. And I'll explain a little bit about all of those. So social media is how basically there is a path to it. You can see there is a clear path to it, right? So you, from social media, you basically attract your ideal clients, from the post you do, the videos you create on social media, all those things. So you're attracting people into to get to know you better, to like you, to trust you, right? So those are the things that you're doing on social media to attract. And then you are giving them a freebie. So in maybe it's a blog post, or maybe it's an opt-in, or it's a free training like this one, right? You are giving them a freebie to engage with them, to tell them, like, get to know me better. Like, I have some great stuff to share, get to know me better. And so they come on, they join your email list, they come to your community. And this is where you have a core content hub. So basically that could be your blog, that could be your YouTube channel, it could be a podcast. So anything that is your core content hub, so where you create all your content, right? So those are the things which you will create to nurture these people. So now they have come to your place, right? They have come to your house. So how are you going to entertain them? How are you going to give them value? So that is the thing where your core content comes into place. And finally, you want to convert these people into clients, right? So that is where email marketing really plays an important role. And I know a lot of people say that email marketing is dead, but trust me, it's not. It will never be dead, because it is one of the most intimate ways of talking to your audience, next to just speaking one-on-one with them, being in their inbox, and creating a relationship with them where you are actually invited into their inbox. I think that is, you have to respect that a lot, and you have to work on it. It has to be earned. It's not something that you can just take for granted, but you have to actually earn that relationship, and then you will be able to convert. And I want to give an analogy of um, dating someone, right? So social media is your first meeting, the first time you meet somebody. You look at them and you feel like, wow, that guy looks nice, right? And the freebie is then exchanging numbers with them, like, and I'm talking about old school dating, and I don't know how these young millennials date, like Tinder and all. I have no idea about that, so I'm not talking about all of that. I'm talking about how we used to do it, right? So so you meet someone new, you like them, you have a little bit of conversation with them, and you like their vibe, so you hand over your number to them. And they call you, so you have exchanged number, and that is the freebie stage where you are engaging with them. And then the nurture stage is where you're having these long conversations. I mean, anybody who has fallen in love ever remembers, like, you have these long conversations which end up till 4 a.m. in the morning, and you don't know how that time went, right? So that is the nurturing. That is how you nurture the relationship. Then you are being there for each other all the time. You're showing up for the other person, right? You're being there for them. That is how you nurture the relationship. And then finally, if you have not done all these things, you just go and say, yeah, let's move in, or let's get married, it's not going to happen. You have to nurture that relationship. So each step of this process is important. And if you're not, what people are doing is basically they are stopping at the stage of freebie. So you get people into your system, and then you stop communicating with them. So basically they are doing like a one night stand with people, right? Which sounds horrible. Why would you do that with so many people? So so that is it. People are not taking this forward, like they're getting them into their system. And to if you look at this is basically what a funnel is. And I know people make it so complicated, like they talk about funnels and these systems, but this is what a funnel is. It's basically taking them through a step by step process to get to know you better. So those are the 4 essential pillars of online presence. I'll just take a quick look at my notes if I've missed on anything. Okay, so that's this is about, you know, how you can create a simple funnel or a simple online presence. Now, if you talk to content strategist or anybody who talks about content, they will give you the simplest of content strategy would look something like this: post in n number of Facebook groups every day, post on your Facebook page twice a day or thrice a day or 4 times a day, post on Instagram, pin everything to Pinterest, write one blog post per week, and then create email opt-ins, send newsletter every week, and create content upgrades, right? It already makes me feel nauseous. Like I feel, oh my god, why do I want to do all this stuff? And this is supposed to be a simple content strategy, right? And I have given these kind of strategies to people before I realized that they don't work. And why? There is an epidemic of inconsistent content. Like if this strategy was working, there would not be an epidemic of inconsistent content. A graveyard of blogs, right? Where blogs go to die. Like you create this blog with all this passion and intention that I'm going to give great value to my audience, but they basically just die a lonely death in the graveyards of blog. There is zero love on email. People are writing emails, but they are not getting anything in back. Like nobody loves those emails. People are not opening, they're not clicking, let alone replying to your emails. There is content burnout. Like that's real. People are just tired of creating content. And to be honest, people are tired of consuming content as well. And there is no clear ROI. Like, what's the return on investment here? And the investment here is not just monetary; it's also investment of your time, right? Spending all this time, but what's the ROI? So, so this is what's happening, and people are getting really tired of content. Content marketing has started feeling like an energy vampire. Like it sucks away all your energy and it leaves you with nothing, right? You're completely drained out. It feels like Regina George from Mean Girls. If you guys remember that movie, like Regina George was this unattainable, inaccessible, really mean teenage girl, right? Who was supposedly the queen of the school, the queen bee of high school, but you just could not, you really wanted to be friends with her, but you could not because she was inaccessible, unattainable. And it actually feels worse than doing your own taxes, which in my opinion is probably the worst thing that you could be doing with your time anyway, right? Doing your own taxes. If it feels worse than doing taxes, then I think that pretty much sucks, right? So what would it take to feel like, just now I want you all to take a deep breath and think, like, if creating blog post was as easy as writing your Dear Diary entries. Like all of us had this diary and we used to talk to our diaries, right? And talk about our day. If writing blog posts felt that easy and that, effortless, how would that feel? If writing newsletters was as fun as passing secret notes to your BFFs in class, right? When you just wrote stuff and just you passed and giggled among yourself about the inner, that joke that you had with your friends. And promoting content was as simple as talking about your favorite TV show or book, because that's what it should be, right? If I was telling my friend about my favorite book, a book that has changed my life, it would feel so simple to me. I would not have to think about it, right? But when you're promoting content, it becomes so heavy. Like it feels like, oh my god, what is it that I'm trying to do here, right? So it should not feel like that. So what would it take to feel like this? But before I get into that, and I'll talk about how that will happen, right? Here is why it's not happening right now. The first thing is, um, you don't know your own content personality and that of your ideal clients. And here's the thing: each one of us has a very peculiar and a very individual content personality. You and I don't create content the same way. We don't enjoy creating the content the same way, right? And uh, and your ideal clients, they also have a content consuming personality. They don't they don't consume content the way you do. or the way I do. So you have to know that, how are they consuming content, and how do you love creating content? What is the type of content that lights you up? So an INFJ or an ENFJ will create content in a very different way, and they will look at content in a very different way. So if I give you a cookie cutter formula and I say, go and create, here is this plan, amazing plan, go and create content, it's not going to work, because it is not going to align to your personality, and you will just be spending all this time and not actually creating anything or enjoying that process. And trust me, if you are not enjoying the process, your clients definitely are not. That vibe, when you're writing a blog post, or you're talking about something on a podcast, or you're creating a video, however polished it might be, if you are not enjoying it and you're not feeling it, it's not going to transfer to your audience, right? The second reason is that you're chasing vanity metrics, and I feel that this has become such a big problem. Like, I talk to people, and they're talking about, I want to grow my Instagram to 5,000, or 10,000, or whatever. And then I ask them, so how much of your your clients last month came from Instagram? Zero. How much of your traffic came from Instagram last month? Zero. So then why are you wasting all of this time and energy on Instagram? Because it's a vanity metric, because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel like, they're doing something with their time, and they are being busy with something, but it's not actually leading to anything. It's not converting into anything. So a lot of people are chasing vanity metrics and not really focusing on stuff that matters. The third reason is that you have too many tabs open. Now, what I mean by that is, a lot of people, when they start creating content or putting a content strategy in place, they say they have, so I want to write a blog, I want to have a blog post, and I want to have a podcast. And, it would also be great to have a YouTube channel. So they just basically taking all this stuff onto their plate without realizing how are they going to manage that? Do they even have the time and the bandwidth and the mental space to create content for all these platforms? Because the content for each of these platforms needs to be tailored for it, right? It's not a one size fits all approach. So if you have too many tabs open, that fun in content, that energy in content will go away, and it will feel like a drag. The fourth reason is that you're not being realistic. Now, what happens is, even if I have to just write a simple blog post, right? And I write down in my planner, write a blog post on Monday, and I give myself 2 hours. What happens is, I'm forgetting that writing a blog post has at least 20 different steps to it, right? And each of those steps takes time. So researching the blog post, coming up with a headline for it, then, creating an outline for it, then actually filling in that outline, and then editing it, proofreading it, then creating an image to go along with it. Like, each of those steps take time. So people do not consider the time that it takes between each step, and they just basically randomly talk about, so I'm going to create a video on so and so date. But then you have to edit that video, you have to upload that video, and you have to create notes to description to go along with it, and then you have to create tags to go along with it. So there are all these different steps that people forget about. And then when they eventually sit down to do all those things, it just takes the energy away from them. And finally, the fifth one is that you stopped being weird and you started following the rules. And I want to take a minute to talk about this. Now, most of us started our business because we wanted to break the norm, right? We wanted to stand apart from the crowd and do our thing, like what really mattered to us, what really energized us. But the good people of internet, the well-meaning internet marketers, they basically told us that our way was the wrong way, and we need to start following this formula, or this step, or this particular a step-by-step process, and that's the only way we are going to succeed. And unfortunately, we agreed, and we said, yeah, I'll become a sheeple, and I'll follow what you're saying, and because I really want to be successful. And that's where things start going really really wrong for most of us. But you know what? You don't have to sell e-courses if you don't want to. You don't have to run Facebook ads if you don't want to. You don't have to be on social media if you don't want to. And you don't have to do blog posts, a blog or a podcast or webinars if you don't want to, right? You don't have to do anything that feels wrong to you, that like feels like, it's against, it goes completely against what you stand for and what your values are or the way you are built. You don't have to do any of that. And the fact is that there isn't just one right way to build a business, right? You have to find your own unicorn business model that works for you. And I have these two pictures of these two amazing people, and I just want to talk about them. And there are millions of examples that I could give, but I just want to talk about these two people. On my left is Andre Chaperon. He is, and I'm pretty sure many of you have not heard about him, but he's the person behind Tiny Little Businesses and a course called Autoresponder Madness. He is among one of the most prolific internet marketers in the world right now. Like all the big marketers are learning from him. And here is the thing, he has 235 people liking his Facebook page. He has never done a Facebook live, and at least not one I have seen him on. Like I've never seen him done a Facebook live. He's only communicating through his emails. Yes, I can. Aisha, his name is Andre Chaperon. And the person on my right is Alexandra Franzen. Again, she's also she's a writing coach. She is a copywriter, and she is on zero social media. So she does not have a Facebook page. She does not have an Instagram account. She's not on Twitter. She's not doing Pinterest. Nothing. And she is she's an amazing business owner. She has these writing classes, these retreats that fill up. Like she has mixed writing with her yoga retreats, right? Like she's doing what she loves doing. Like if you go and tell somebody that, yeah, I want to be a copywriter, and but I also want to have my yoga retreats, they will say, what, are you crazy? Like you need to stick to one thing, right? You need to be known for one thing. But no, like who told you that? Like why does that need to be a thing? I want to do both of them. And that's what she's doing, right? And some people might argue that because they are so established, that is why they get away with this and they don't have to do this. But my point is that because they did these things, that is why they are so established right now, because they choose to build a business that feels right to them, that feels aligned to them. Yeah, she does have an online presence, Aisha. She does have a website, but she's not on any social media. So she has her website and she has a newsletter, and that's all how she communicates with her audience. So no Facebook page, no Instagram account, nothing like that. So yeah, so what I mean here is that your online presence can be dictated by you. You don't have to follow a model that everybody else is following. If you hate social media, if it absolutely drains you out and you don't want to be on social media, then start working on a strategy that is away from social media. Like who made this rule that unless you have a Facebook page, you cannot have a an online business? Let's break those rules. Like let's create our own rules, right? So that there are like hundreds of other people who have built beautiful internet businesses without jumping on Periscope, on Facebook Live, or doing videos, or having a podcast. They're just doing what really lights them up. So if it is writing that really makes them feel amazing, they just stick to that and they just do that. So let's talk about a new approach to content strategy. And this is the approach that, I'm taking with my clients, with my private clients right now. And it's exactly, how I take them through the process. It is a structured process, but it is also a very flexible process, as you will see when I go through each step of this. So the first step is know thyself. Then the second step is know your clients, like really know them. Like, I know a lot of people do ideal client stuff, but this is about getting to know them really, really, really well. And the third step is to set goals, but goals that matter, right? And the fourth step is to create a structure, because and I know, like, uh, people are craving for freedom when they want to create content, but I feel the real freedom comes from having a structure in place. And finally, planning. So mapping topics that align to your services. So these are the 5 steps in my approach to content strategy. So I'll take them you through all of these steps briefly. So the first step is knowing thyself, right? Knowing yourself. So what's your personality? So when I work with my clients, I do get them to do a couple of personality tests, which gives me a very good idea of what lights them up as a, as a content creator, and what is their style of content creation. What are the things that will really work for them? So for some people, webinars might be complete no, like they will never enjoy doing a webinar because of their personality. But some people will be absolutely amazing on webinars or trainings, because that's what their personality is aligned to. So what style of content creation lights you up? Then why are you creating content, right? Because you don't want to create content for the sake of content. What is the intention behind it, right? What are you trying to deliver in terms of value to your audience? So this is where it needs to start with you, knowing about you. And even things like, when should you create content, right? Which is the most productive time? Is it morning? Maybe for some people it is afternoons, for some people it might be evening. So you have to really get to know yourself, like go back to the basics, think about yourself, what really makes you feel good before getting into any of the strategies or tactics. So that's the first step, getting to know yourself. The second step is to get to know your clients, right? And there are active ways to do that, and there are passive ways to do that. And I do both of them with my clients, because I feel you need all the information, because this is the most important step when it comes to your content strategy. So active ways are like, doing surveys, polling your clients, getting to know what they like, what do they dislike, and stuff like that. And then you can also do ideal client interviews, like one-on-one interviews, market research interviews that a lot of people do. Another thing that a lot of people are not doing are past client interviews. So interview your past clients to see what did they like about the process of working with you. What are the things that they really enjoyed when they were working with you? What did they get out of it? What struggles did you solve for them? So interview your past clients. And the fourth thing which I do with my clients actively in when I work with them is empathy mapping. So basically, I get them to think about what do their clients see, what do their clients do, what do their clients feel, and what do their clients think when in certain situations. And it's a fascinating process when I work with my clients, and it makes everything seem so much more easier when instead of assuming about your clients, you actually have what's going inside in their brains. You actually get to know all of that. And then there are passive ways where you need to be in listening mode, right? So look around in Facebook groups. What are people talking about your topic? What are they struggling with? Things like that. Then there is a website called answerthepublic.com, which is basically where you can go and write any topic, and it will show you what are the questions people are asking about that particular topic. So that's another way of finding out what your audience is asking about, what are their problems, right? My favorite way to actually do audience research and get copy is amazon.com reviews. So basically, I go and look at books that have to do with my niche, and I look at the reviews, and especially the negative reviews. And I will find out what did people absolutely did not like about the book, or what did they feel that was missing from the book. And those are the things that I use in my copy. To give you a very, very simple example, I was researching for my homepage, and I was looking at Amazon reviews, and I went and looked at Purple Cow, which is a book by Seth Godin, right? And because it has to do with branding, it has to do with content and standing out. So I was looking at the reviews, and this one negative review actually said, and this is verbatim. This person said that he talks about becoming a purple cow, but he never tells you where to get that purple paint from. Like, and how do where do you get that purple paint from, and how do you source that purple paint? And he just keeps talking about being a purple cow and standing out, but he never gets into the how of it. Like, how do you stand out? Like, how exactly do you stand out? So, and I use that in my homepage, like, and I made a promise to my clients that when you work with me, I will not just tell you to go be a purple cow, but I'll actually tell you where to get the paint from and how to use it, right? So those are the kind of copy nuggets that you can get from Amazon.com. It's an amazing, amazing way to research about your clients. And finally, look at your peer blogs and peer YouTube channels, and go and see look at the comments. Like, what did people like about that? What are the things people did not like about it? So these are some of the passive ways, listening mode ways to research about your audience. The next is setting goals that matter, right? So when we start setting goals, a lot of people struggle with, so how many blogs should I create? How many videos should I create? The first thing that you need to create in terms of goal is that what is going to be your core content platform, right? What is the one hub where you're going to create all your content? So it could be a blog for you, a written blog. It could also be a podcast. It could also be a YouTube channel. So that is what the first goal needs to be. Like, what is going to be a core platform? And then from there, how many pieces of content are you going to create for that, right? The next is growth metrics. So how are you going to grow? So what are you going to grow? So when I create plans with my clients, it's mostly 90-day plans. So we want to set the growth metrics for that period of time, right? So we talk about, what do you want to grow? So it can be growth in traffic, it can be growth in followers, or it can be growth in subscribers, or it can be growth in connections. And this is where it gets really interesting, right? So if you already have say 1,000 people on your list, and you know that you're launching something and you need to have 10 people who need to join that particular program. So if you cannot convert 10 people from a list of 1,000, then it does not matter if you're spending all your time on increasing your list to 2,000, right? So instead of spending all the time in increasing your list size, what you need to spend the time on is building connections in that existing list, getting them really engaged, getting them really excited about your content, right? So you have to think about, why are you choosing that particular growth metric? Like, if you only need 5 clients a month, then why are you running behind getting 10,000 page views for your blog? Like, that should not be your goal. So this is why I say set goals that matter. And then secondly, what are your services and launches that you're doing in that period of time? Like, and how many people do you need for those launches, or those packages? Because then you will be able to work backwards, like reverse engineer how many pieces of content do you actually need. Then the structure, right? The most important thing in the structure is categories. So your pillars of content. So, like, to give you an example, say you're a branding coach, right? And as a branding coach, you have 3 products, one of which is the first thing is a branding guide. Like, it is intended for people who have zero idea about branding, who know nothing about what does a brand mean, how do you actually start building a brand. So that's your first product. The second product is probably a set of templates for people who are ready to DIY their brand. So maybe a logo template, or a mood board template, or a whole set of template for your fonts and colors and stuff like that. And finally, you have an offer where you are doing the entire website for people who are ready to hand that over to you, right? So clearly I can see that there are three categories here, right? Three pillars. So newbies who have zero idea about branding, DIY people who are ready to, try their hand, who have a fair amount of idea about branding, but they want to experiment with it, and people who are completely ready to outsource. Now, these are the three pillars of your content then. And, each one of them needs different kind of content that will lead into your services or your offers. So every time I do this with my clients, it gives them a massive sense of relief, because it suddenly, it takes a jumble of possibilities, and it gives them a clear structure. Like, okay, so I have these three categories, and I need to create 6 pieces of content. So all I need is 2 pieces of content from each of these categories. And then the next thing to think about is frequency. So what is the consumption pattern of your audience? So all that audience research will also help you to see how much time does your audience have to consume that content, right? So if you're creating a podcast, I'm really sorry about all the background noise of the trains, but it's unavoidable. I cannot do anything about it. So if your podcast is intended towards working people, right? People who are in a 9 to 5 job. Do they have who have the time to listen to like a 1 hour podcast? Maybe not. Maybe they have just 20 to 25 minutes to listen to a podcast on the way to their commute, or in their break time, right? If you are targeting, say, a video channel towards moms who are homeschooling, right, or who have kids, if you have like a 20-minute video, will a mom be able to watch that? I don't think so. Like, she might be able to watch a 10-minute video, or a 5-minute video, or a small video in the time that she's standing in a queue somewhere, but not nothing longer than that. So you have to understand, like, what's the consumption pattern of your audience, and based on that, and also the time available, right? How much time do you have to create content? And then your own personality, and based on that, come up with a frequency that will work for you. And finally, systems, right? How are you going to repurpose all of that content? What are the things that you can outsource right now? If you have a VA, what are the things that you can hand over to them? Or maybe, bring in somebody you can outsource some of the stuff to. And then what are the tools that you can use in your business? Like, Asana, Trello, all the tools that are there, but you choose the tools that will work for you. Then the final step is planning, right? So creating an editorial calendar. Like I said, I work with my clients in 90-day sprints. So creating an editorial calendar with your categories, and knowing that these are your offers, you create blog topics or video topics that are all aligned to your offer. Like, each of them has a purpose. You're not just creating content for the sake of it. It's all leading into something, right? And what are the call to action to each one of them? And the second thing is topics, right? Meet them where they are. What I mean by that is, sometimes your audience does not know what they need, right? So you might think that, I need to give them what they need, but what you actually need to give them is what they want. So they might, they might need self-love, but what they really want right now is to lose a couple of pounds. So beneath that desire is actually an increase of self-love which is required. But if you start talking to them in the language of self-love, they are not going to connect with it, because they don't even know that they need it. So you have to meet them where they are, talking about things that matter to them, and then slowly, through your nurturing process, you can get them to start thinking about what they really need, and that is what will lead to the transformation that they really, they can get. And finally, you need to have your process in place, right? So how are you going to batch so again, for each person, batching looks very different. For me, it might mean that I have 3 days of batching a month, and I batch all of my content for that month or for the whole 90 days. But for some people, batching might mean like they can do only 1 day of batching in a week, and they cannot do more than that. So again, it depends on the person that you are, what's your personality, and then what's the workflow, right? So what does, like I said, writing a blog post has 20 different steps in it. So having a workflow about that, and having it handy with you, all of those things will help you. Like I create these workflows and templates for my clients, so that it becomes easier. So like when I create a new podcast episode, these are the things that I will need to do, like step by step. So nothing feels, oh my god, I forgot about that, oh my god, I have to do that also. So having that workflow really helps. So basically, so at this point of time, you walk away with a plan. You have an editorial calendar. I need to create these blog posts that will map and align with my offers. So you're all set, right? But there is a missing piece, and that's the implementation. So I have worked with so many clients, and I have given them these amazing plans, and they walk out feeling really confident about their content, but then they don't go and implement it, right? They don't do the work. And if you don't implement that plan, is it worth anything? It's not, right? And I really feel for those people who really want to create content, but they just get defeated at this stage, the implementation stage. It starts feeling too much. They procrastinate, they overthink everything, and they don't implement. And this is why I created Immersion. Immersion is a brand new way to work with me, and you can find out more about it at bit.ly Immersion Coaching, and I'm going to put the link in the chat box as well. So basically, what is Immersion? Um, why Immersion, right? Immersion is a one-on-one intensive package coaching experience where you work with me on your content, and this is how you walk out of it. Like, you feel empowered and capable of tackling your content projects. You walk away with not just a plan, but you actually implement it all. Like, you do all the things that you plan, right? You really get to know your ideal client, and it gives you the confidence to speak directly to the right people you want to be working with. It will give you effortless engagement with your audience, because you have helped them to get to know you, build trust, and to understand that you are the one that they have been looking for. It will give you greater focus. It will eliminate all kinds of distractions. You will not focus on vanity metrics anymore. And the sort of singular focus that is required to make a bigger impact. So if you really want to make impact, you need to have that kind of a singular focus, right? No more watching from the sidelines, not on my watch. You will be out there, you will be visible, you will be taking fearless action, and you will be turning heads, but all on your terms. You don't have to do anything that doesn't align with you. Like, obviously, I will not let you not try something because of fear of failure. But if it doesn't align to you, you don't have to do that. And finally, it will give you a massive sense of relief, because content creation will become easier, because you will know what you are creating. Will know how to deliver your content in a way that feels simple yet effective, and you will be confident that the content that you're creating, it has a purpose, and it meets your bigger picture for helping your clients achieve their goals. So that is what I want to achieve through Immersion for each one of my clients who work with me. It's a one-on-one VIP coaching. It's a 4-month experience by design, because the first month we are spending in creating the foundations, right? The first month is a foundation month where we'll set all the foundation, all the processes that you need, and then spend the next 3 months in implementing all of that content. So you will walk away with the plan at the end of the first month, but then I will be doing it with you on the calls. Like, we'll be creating content in real time together, and I'm really excited about that. So in implementation months, so you'll have done with you implementation sessions. You'll have an intake questionnaire which will give you massive clarity, and which will give me massive clarity on how to help you. and there will be bespoke solutions. This is not for anybody who's looking for a cookie cutter solution or a one size fits all approach. It's completely tailored to the person that I'm working with. And obviously there is massive accountability, and there are a lot of fun content exercises that I have planned for my clients. I have only 3 spots for this, so I'm inviting applications for anybody who's interested. So if you are interested, let's talk. You can go to Bitly Immersion Coaching and book in a time to talk with me and know more about how this might work for you. And I'll be happy to, talk about the whole process of it. So that's basically it. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you are watching the replay, you can email me and ask me any questions. If you have any questions right now in the chat box, I would love to address those as well.